was like 3 out of 100. 3%. Baltimore City's was 25%. And you didn't go to their detention center, spend 30 minutes or an hour to see the commissioner, and then, we're going to release you, no charges. No, it's 2 days, easy. 2 days, and it's not a place to be, I'm telling you. And of course, the last one, and I spoke about the Fifth Amendment, delayed or no access to counsel. So many people just don't know their rights.
Can we hold for just a second? I want to.
Dumped into this unit. They raped the streets of uniform officers to put into this unit. And they asked me to do an evaluation on a vehicle situation because vehicles were under my command. I had all the good toys. I had the money, I had the vehicles, I had the people. That's the fun stuff. And my report came back saying, hey, we're putting the cart before the horse. So we don't need new cars, we don't need to rent cars, we need to do a good evaluation of what we have, fix what we have, and teach our officers to take care of what we have, and then see where we're at. And when we were spending a couple $100,000 a month on rental cars, I said, that's a little over the top. So that Friday I was fired. Okay. Such is life.
You got away with somebody's cash cow.
Okay. Did I ever? But what goes around comes around. It came around. The one that fired me. Human cost. In Baltimore, this is a family, the Dawson family. That's their home on the corner. And it's quite obvious as you look at the photograph there that a fire occurred. I mentioned before about innocent people. You know, gangs support themselves through this illegal drug activity. Angela, upper left, who is the mom, and the father's not depicted here, but he was also a victim. The whole family. Angela, the mom, was tired of drug dealing taking place on their corner. And she would come out and she'd ask them to move. Please move. She would call the police when they wouldn't comply. And this went on for a little bit until the drug dealers, the gang, got tired of it. And early, one morning on October 3rd, they broke into the home. And they set a fire, Molotov cocktail. There was no way for the family to get downstairs. They all perished in that fire. The root problem, folks, it's our policies. The root problem is not the drug dealers that were on the corner. The root problem are our policies and the money that we have put into this, the storm, the perfect storm that we have created, just like back in the 20s, for criminal enterprise. That's why this family and many other people like them have died. Have died. They've been assassinated. Speaking of assassinations, Corporal Edward Totley was a Maryland State Trooper for about 16 years. He was probably the best narcotics agent that the Maryland State Police had ever seen. He was one of these soldiers that when you tell him what to do, he says, I'll go do it. I'll go do it. And we probably, I don't recall ever seeing him in uniform until the day that he laid in his coffin. We left him doing drug work too long. He had gotten comfortable, not that that's a bad thing, but he was very good at what he did. He was working on, Ed worked for me on a couple of different occasions when I was commander of some of these task forces. Just prior to my leaving, he worked for me down in Salisbury, Maryland, and he got guns, he got drugs, he got stolen vehicles. I mean, the guy was just phenomenal. And when I retired and I went to work for Baltimore in 2000, the spring of 2000, I still had conversations with Ed because we were pretty close. Right before October, he was working on his final purchase of drugs from this guy down in Tacoma Park, Maryland. He was working on an FBI task force, and they were backing him up that night. They were a surveillance team. He's parked along the street, bad guys in the car with him, and time comes, he gives him the money, guy gets out the car to go get the drugs. Circles around real quick, comes up to the driver's side of the car and sticks a gun in real quick and pops Ed right in the head, right at the base of the skull. About 2 o'clock in the morning, I get a call that Ed had been shot. He was flown to Choctaw, where he died. Left behind a wife, 3 kids. Nice guy. I mean, Ed was the kind of guy that if he could figure out a way not to lock up someone for possessing drugs, he'd do it. I mean, but you know, we put these guys in these predicaments. We put women who wear the uniform in these predicaments. Cops in uniforms every day are being shot at on the streets by drug dealers. They're being injured. They die. Another friend, Marty Ward in Baltimore, same thing, working an undercover deal back in the 80s. He died as well. It's not just the people in the game who become the victims as relates to death. It's folks like the Dawsons, and it's folks like Ed. So what can we do? Many times when I speak in front of folks like this, they don't have a clue as to what you guys, most of you already know, and what you learned tonight. And if they thought one way when they first sat down, by the time it was over, they were thinking from a completely different perspective about this whole issue. What we need from everyone, especially from those, and many of you I know get it, you really get it. If you're not already writing, to write letters. Get your friends and family to write letters. If you're going to put this on YouTube, show them this. Educate the people that you know and the people that you don't know. Pay a visit to your local representatives. Pay a visit to DC when you go to the Smithsonian. Let them know you're there. Pick up the phone, call, flood your phones. And let them know that this thing is over. We have to stop because, as we said earlier, government is the issue. Government is the problem. This is going to be something that needs to be changed from the grassroots level, from the ground floor. We have to make enough noise and we have to vote accordingly. When you have a representative in your district who is not supportive, and they don't have to be supportive of making everything legal or whatever the case. What they need to be supportive of is giving it the proper attention for Congress to do the right thing, to have the proper hearings, to bring the proper people in to look at this, the experts from all the different areas, medical, juvenile justice, law enforcement, and not just one side of law enforcement. But that they do the right things in moving this issue forward. So I'm going to end right here because I want to have a little bit more dialogue with you folks as to what the issue is and maybe what you can do and maybe some of the